Hey everybody, this is your old buddy James here, James Burton from Scatter Comics. With the Damage Inc. Kickstarter coming out and start of the new volume, I thought I would begin to explore homages for the things that inspire me. And kind of turn those into rewards. What we've got here is me going over and putting the inks onto a killer pencil sketch that I did. This one is of James O Barr's The Crow. Now, if you're not familiar with James O Barr's work, he really is famous for doing The Crow. There's been a couple of other side things, and he was a huge part of the comic scene in the 90s, and obviously there was a killer movie made about it, and when I say that, I'm referring to the very first one. The other ones all had good moments or concepts, but it was really the first one that was a huge thing for me. Now, in this particular case, why am I doing the homage? Well, the reason why I'm doing the homage is a friend of mine, a really close friend of mine. He took me to go see the movie right when it came out. I basically had to sit in the back of his pickup truck in the kind of a wet, dark night on the way out to the movie theater. And we got to watch The Crow, and I really identified with the subject matter. I enjoyed it a lot, but that is nothing compared to the fact that about a week or so later, he and I went to Comics and Comics in Rockland, back when there was a Comics and Comics in Rockland. And while I was there, I found the graphic novel. Now, I immediately bought it because I liked the movie, but what I did not really quite understand is how much it was going to affect me reading the book. Um, those of everybody who know the true story behind James O Barr understand that a big part of it was the fact that he was dealing with the grief over losing the love of his life at the time when he did the book. I mean, he made the book any way possible. He had to scrounge to get art supplies like those crappy Crayola brushes and black watercolor paints and stuff, and he truly made an absolute work of art because of the enthusiasm, the effort, the pain, just the need to create that was inside of him. All of those things made a huge impact on me and my life. With the new issue of Damage Inc. coming out, it's something I'm reflecting on. There's a lot of things that I love about comics. There's a lot of things that I love about creating art, but nothing really identifies with me anywhere near as much as, you know, expressing emotion, especially emotions of pain and loss and things like that. Uh, Big reason why I create is because I was able to identify with the fact that a very long time ago when I was a child, my father worked out of the state. He actually worked so far away that I only saw him once a week. And one day he brought home this chalkboard and said, "Hey, draw me naked ladies and motorcycles." Yeah, that was my dad. Now, my 4-year-old self spent the next week drawing on this chalkboard these stick figures on motorcycles. And when he got home, he loved it. Well, that created this thing in me that, that I love doing it, and people liked it when I did it. This must be, something I'm good at. Now, a lot of effort has been put into it to increase my skill. You can have an argument about talent versus skill as much as you want out there. Everybody's a little bit different, and the concept applies differently to everyone. For me, it became a huge part of who I am on a lot of levels. It mixes in with my identity as a father, my identity as a creator, and it all kind of comes back to how that part started. But with The Crow, there was this surreal tapping into the chaos of violence, the chaos of pain that I'd never seen in any other book. The original Turtles by Kevin Eastman and Laird is something we can talk about, where it's got a lot of that in it, but it not on the same emotional level. And The Crow was basically a celebration of taking that thing that makes so much pain inside of you and making something out of it, and not just keeping it inside so that all you hear is your own internal screams, but sharing those feelings with like-minded peer groups, as it's said in Phineas and Ferb. I identified with that in spades. It became one of the most important things in my life, and more importantly, one of the things that I learned from reading James O Barr's books and later on finding things like Johnny the Homicide Maniac and all these other independent books back then was that I didn't have to be commercial to create. I didn't have to draw like Jim Lee. I didn't have to draw the same way as I saw everybody else do in the big two. I could do these amazing things. I could tell stories that were about something more than superheroes fighting over who could hit each other harder. I could I could express all of that frustration and rage from what was going on in my home life in ways that would make sense to other people. Now, Damage Incorporated, as an example, it's got plenty of violence inside of it. I try to keep it as cartoon-like as I can and have some levity into it, but I do have plenty of violence. It's a book that's more PG-13 than anything else. But it's still an expression and an homage to something that I absolutely love. Growing up, there were people in my life that were kind of a part of that experience. They were friends that kind of ended up becoming a surrogate family. Those are the guys that I call Damage Inc. They were friends that went on adventures with me in role-playing games. They were there in my real life. We studied martial arts together. We made those games together. We shared in both the great things in each other's lives as well as the challenges and the sad things when somebody, went through a divorce with their family and all those different things. We were there for each other, and we were there for a way that my family wasn't. When you grow up in a house filled with chaos, you pretty much learn that chaos is like nonstop. You're always looking for the shoe to drop, and in that environment, you don't get to build a lot of superly awesome and supportive bonds. It kind of goes the other way instead. But with my friends, with Damage Inc., that changed. And the Crow and the Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and all of those other things were a huge part of all the things that I love so much. The deep blacks, the heavily leaning on action in the storylines, all those things they dominate a lot of different parts of the industry in different ways today because things evolve, things progress. You see comic book movies getting inspired by a lot of those older independent creations, and there's a reason. It's because people can feel it. It's because people can viscerally understand what it's about, what it does, and enjoy it. And that's no different in any way from the way that it was back then. And for me, that's what it's about now. So, this sketch is going to be fully inked at the end of this video, and it's going to be one of the rewards on Kickstarter for the Damage Inc. We're hitting up Vol. 2. It's going to be the first issue for it. It is in black and white, and it's both funny and adventurous and filled with scary monsters. One of the things that there's also going to be is other sketches, just like this one. I'm going to be doing the Turtles. I'm going to be doing Poison Elves. I'm going to be doing the things that I love a lot. So I'd appreciate it if you took a look, if you shared, help me get that book out there. And don't be afraid to hit up www.angrybrainartworks.com to go ahead and take a look at all those things and help me get this book made. Appreciate it so much. Until then, I want y'all to keep looking for the things that you love, keep enjoying them, keep being a part of them, and don't be afraid to share it and make it yourselves as well. All of it ends up making us a better person, and all of it ends up making the world a way better place than when we started. Don't forget that. It's something artists tend to forget, is that the world needs what we do, and that's just a personal truth on a lot of levels. So till then, enjoy The Crow, and thank you so much.